Hello and welcome to our next video on Questus channel. We've recently discussed quantitative research in marketing. Now it's time to dive into qualitative research. Today you will learn, among other things, what are the characteristics of qualitative research? What qualitative research methods do we distinguish? What are the advantages and disadvantages of particular techniques of conducting this type of research? So, are you ready? Let's get started then. Qualitative research, as the name suggests, is a type of research designed to describe the reality in qualitative terms, aiming, for example, to unveil the customer's thinking process or their motivations. So it poses questions such as what, how, or why. However, the answers will not be as unambiguous as those to the questions how much or whether or not posed by quantitative research. That is why conclusions from qualitative research can be quite complex, and the results may have many different interpretations. Therefore, the experience and competence of researchers become extremely important for the success of a research. In the case of qualitative research, the selection of a sample is usually purpose-driven, and the number of respondents is relatively small. Thus, conclusions from such studies may involve generalization, however, they often won't be representative of the entire population. So, let's take a look at the most popular research methods in qualitative marketing research. The basic distinction in qualitative research is between direct and indirect research. The former are characterized by the fact that they are not masked, which means the respondents know the purpose of the study in which they participate. Among the direct methods, we can distinguish focus group interviews and in-depth individual interviews. Focus group interview, FGI, consists in conducting a group discussion led by a qualified moderator. His tasks include, first of all, conducting and developing discussions. It is also extremely important to create an informal atmosphere. This is important because the purpose of a focus study is to acquire consumer insights. A standard group interview lasts from 1.5 hours up to 6 hours. It is attended by about 6 to 10 respondents and the moderator mentioned above, who should be equipped with high communication and observation skills. Additionally, this type of research often uses supplementary materials to stimulate conversation, such as storyboards, products, or brochures. The whole event is recorded. FGI is the most common method of qualitative research in marketing. Marketers and researchers willingly use it, for example, when creating new products or advertising campaigns. The second type of qualitative face-to-face research is the individual in-depth interview, IDI. Like FGI, it is a face-to-face, unstructured conversation, but in this case, it is individual. Thus, IDI takes the form of a conversation between the respondent and the researcher, with the latter asking questions, actively listening to the answers, and trying to understand the respondent's experiences. For the study to be successful, the researcher must create an atmosphere of intimacy similar to that accompanying a conversation between two friends. This allows to obtain insightful information and understand the respondent. Individual interview allows for obtaining even deeper insights than the focus group. Moreover, it is easier to arrange as it only involves two participants, the respondent and the researcher. In-depth individual interview is extremely widely used in marketing. This method is often used when the study is carried out on children, people in high positions, or representatives of the elite. It is used, for example, in situations where we intend to ask about confidential or embarrassing matters. It will also work well in cases where we are dealing with complex behaviors or products that are associated with sensory or emotional experiences, for example, perfume or bubble bath. The second type of qualitative research is indirect research. That is research the purpose of which has not been disclosed to the respondents. This makes it possible to observe their more natural behavior. Within indirect research, we can distinguish observation and projection techniques. Observation is one of the techniques of ethnographic research. It consists in observing the participant's life in the natural environment. Thanks to this, we may inspect the behavior of people that are important to the clue of the research. There are two types of observation techniques: participant observation and passive observation. Participant observation involves the long-term participation of the researcher in the life of the studied group. Passive observation, on the other hand, is watching rather than participating, and the recorded results are standardized. Therefore, the latter is included in the quantitative research. Projection techniques were created as tools to trigger the imagination and creativity. They allow us to discover hidden motivations, beliefs, attitudes, and feelings towards the subject of research. We can distinguish 4 main types among them. 1. Associations. They consist in presenting the stimulus to the respondent and then asking for the first association. 2. Additions. In this technique, the subject is asked to complete a sentence or story. 3. Constructions. They consist in constructing answers by the respondent in the form of a story, dialogue, or description. 4. Expressions. It is a technique based on presenting a situation to the interviewed person and asking them to describe other people's, not their own, feelings or attitudes towards that situation. Projection techniques make it possible to obtain answers that the respondents would be reluctant or not able to answer at all if a different technique had been used. Projections also minimize the risk of misinterpretation of the question by the respondent. The disadvantages, however, include the unusual form, which may sometimes intimidate the respondents. To wrap up from today's video, we found out that qualitative research can answer questions such as what, how, or why. It is conducted on small research samples, which is why it is usually not representative of the entire population. Direct techniques include focus group interview, FGI, and individual in-depth interview, IDI. Indirect research includes observation and projection techniques. So this is it for today's video. We'd also like to encourage you to acquaint yourself with our course. There is a link to it in the description. Don't forget to leave thumbs up and subscribe to the Questus channel. See you again for the next portion of marketing knowledge. Bye!